This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
The following program is rated MALSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, it doesn't matter who the host is.
Well, hello and welcome to an all-new Rated R Safety Show. Today's not Monday. Oh my God, is today not Monday? Today's Wednesday, April the 1st, day 92 of the year, day 274. Before we count it all down and see the 2021, hopefully. Yeah, I know. Anyways, we're streaming right now on safetyfm.com, safetyfm.live, the different platformers depending on how you're listening to us, or you might be listening to the podcast variation of this bad boy. So it's really depending on what you're doing. Once again, wanted to thank the people that actually came out yesterday and kind of really started to pump up some things as we saw them throughout the different social media platforms. Now, I do have some bad news that I want to share. I can't see anything that you're doing on Facebook. Just doesn't happen. Can't see it until after the show. I right now am in the studio alone.
Duh.
So that means I have no eyes besides the ones that I have on my face. So what does that mean? That means I can't go tracking down exactly what you're doing. I have some limitations. So if you go to safetyfm.com/VOD, VOD, Victor, Ophelia, Delta, VOD. And you'll pop up right there. We'll actually get you into our little Twitch format. And that's fine. You can actually chat right there. And I will tell you the moment that you do click on it, it does tell you that this is a mature audience broadcast.
Duh.
I don't know who's mature inside of the bunch, but hey, I guess that's just kind of part of the gig. Anyways, as we've been doing over the last few weeks at this point, we're going to start off with feature story news, and then we're going to get you started into my rhetoric.
Bringing you information you never knew you cared about. Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Simon Marks. The death toll from coronavirus is starting to soar in both the United States and Britain. The UK today recorded 563 deaths over 24 hours. That's the largest daily increase recorded yet. FSN's Holly Hudson is in London.
The latest figures come as the government continues to face questions and increasing pressure to ramp up testing, particularly of frontline NHS workers. Number 10 insists that their testing capacity will increase, but confirmed that only 2,000 of 1.2 million NHS employees had been screened so far. It comes amid warnings from health leaders that hospitals are also running out of protective equipment. Holly Hudson, London.
Here in the United States, the death toll has risen above 4,000, with President Trump and members of his coronavirus task force now warning there could be as many as 240,000 deaths unless every member of the public observes lockdown orders and social distancing guidelines.
I want every American to be prepared for the hard days that lie ahead. We're going to go through a very tough 2 weeks. And then hopefully, as the experts are predicting, as I think a lot of us are predicting after having studied it so hard, you're going to start seeing some real light at the end of the tunnel, but this is going to be a very painful 2 weeks.
In fact, the president's experts say they are deeply worried other metropolitan areas, including Detroit and New Orleans, could soon see the kind of crisis engulfing New York. Spain has reported another big rise in deaths from coronavirus, 864 in just 24 hours. The Wimbledon Tennis Championships have been cancelled for the first time since World War II because of COVID-19. And in Ethiopia, parliamentary elections due to take place in August have been suspended, as Coletta Wanjohi reports from FSN's bureau in Addis Ababa.
The Ethiopian National Electoral Board says it decided to call off August polls after conducting a detailed assessment on the impact COVID-19 would have on its operations. it found that mandatory preventative measures like social distancing will impede its ability to properly train election officials or distribute election materials across the country. The board also notes that the pandemic will affect voter registration that was planned to begin in April. Opposition parties that had registered for the elections have accepted the changes but asked the body to consult with them before it sets a new date. I'm Coletta Njohi in Addis Ababa.
Sad news from the world of jazz. Trumpeter Wallace Roney has died of coronavirus in New Jersey. He was mentored by Miles Davis, won a Grammy in 1994, was nominated for another 3 years later. Paying tribute, the Lincoln Center called him a true modern great. Wallace Roney was 59. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
So that's what's going on in the world of news. According to Feature Story News, our partners over there letting us know exactly what's going on. Now, I don't know, but I keep on seeing some weird stuff going on. Besides the COVID-19 stuff, we keep on seeing some different things, and maybe we should start talking about that here now.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
So here we go. So I have to tell you, if you have been keeping up, I have been obsessed as of late with earthquakes. And I'm talking about obsessed in regards to what's going on with them. So yesterday, it was being reported that, let me make sure that I give you the correct place because I don't want to give you the wrong information here. So hold on just 1 second. That in the glorious state of Idaho, there was an actual earthquake that popped up. Now, I did notice right away that this was not being discussed anywhere. No information anywhere that I could really find that was really vetting this information out. Now, I'll tell you, one of our main stories that was going on here today talks about some of the earthquakes, but it actually kind of goes back a little bit further than the one from the 31st. This one goes all the way back to a 5.7 magnitude earthquake that occurred near Salt Lake City back on March the 18th, where researchers have detected that at least 650 aftershocks, most insignificant in intensity. Only 3 were above the 4 range. Now, I understand there's a lot of things going on, but I also am trying to figure out why are all these earthquakes not being mentioned? There's a lot of them.
Duh.
And I'm talking a lot of them. I'm not saying just a few. I'm not talking about a couple. I read here a few days ago how many there had been in total around the world. But there's several of them in the United States. And believe me, I'm not trying to sit here and go, oh my Lord, let's talk about all this craziness that's going on. But it is a interesting aspect on what's going on and why it's not being talked about. Take a look at it for what it's worth. Just go into little Google and type in the word earthquakes and see what you find, in particular, over the last few weeks.
Duh.
Anyways, an innovative blood test from Harvard Medical School says that it can detect up to 50 types of cancer. It is currently entering clinical trials and uses artificial intelligence to quickly analyze the DNA patterns that could indicate the presence of cancer. So that seems like something good that's coming out of good old Harvard there. And it actually will be able to detect some potential future things based on your DNA. And more testing seems to be driven in that direction.
Duh.
Now, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing because, people were hesitant at first about, sharing their DNA. Well, not sharing it in that fashion that you just thought about, but I'm talking about sharing DNA from the perspective of people being able to do a read on it and all that kind of stuff. But this is going to become more and more of the norm, it seems like, based on the information that we keep on seeing on some of the changes that are out there. So what are you thinking? What do you think about the whole thing? Does it make sense? Was this something that you will participate in as we move forward? Anyways, here's the next one. Here we go. Washington police got multiple calls from drivers reporting a 1996 Buick behaving erratically. The driver reportedly hit multiple cars and would speed away, clocking over 100 miles per hour at some point. When police pulled it over, they found that the driver in the passenger seat trying to steer and use the pedals to maneuver the car. In the front seat was his pit bull. The 51-year-old man was booked on multiple felonies, counting driving under the influence of drugs. So what kind of a hectic ride are you having, my friend? Where all of a sudden this seemed like a good idea. Let's go out and hit some multiple cars as we have the pit bull in the front yard. Or the front of the car, for that fact. But it's something that you have to think about. It's like, wow, why did you come up to this scenario and say, hey, this seemed like a good idea to do?
Duh.
I don't know what you were thinking, but now things are not going to probably go pretty for you. Now, I don't know. As we keep on seeing some different things about the coronavirus and then we kind of look into the jail aspect, how is that going to work out for somebody who ends up in jail right now? And how quick are you being sentenced if you are determined to be guilty? And how long are you getting a little court gimmick moving forward? Yeah, you did hear me use the word gimmick. So let's continue. The Dow ended up in its worst quarter ever by losing 410 points on Tuesday. Year to date, it's down 23.2%. The S&P fared no better, losing about 20% since the start of the year. But we kind of expected this with everything that's going on across the world, that these would be taking place. Now, I know that right now, if you're looking at your stocks and bonds and so on, or in your 401k, you're probably not too happy. But this is the world that we're living in at the moment. And yeah, I know that there's a lot of people pulling out money out of their bank accounts and trying to stash it and do some other things for it to not lose value. I just don't know if that's truly going to work at the moment. The other portion is, of course, cryptocurrency seems to be the other thing. People talking about buying gold, which I still don't understand that one. And just the different aspects there. But that's one thing that you had to look at. Anyways, goats are taking over portions of Wales. The small town in quarantine has seen a spike in wild goats roving the streets in recent days. It caused some havoc with those with gardens and flower beds, which goats got incorporated into their diet. So they went into these flower beds and they went into these gardens and just started literally destroying them. Destroying them.
Duh.
And they were doing this because, hey, there was nobody there to brush them off. I guess that's just kind of the way that it's actually going to work at this particular moment, huh?
You are listening to a radio god. What? This has to be an error. That host is not a radio god. Anyways, this is the Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
So let's see how bad I'm going to butcher this. I'm going to go real close. Palau, Samoa, North Korea, Tonga, Micronesia, the Solomon Islands, Marshall Islands, and Antarctica all believe they're coronavirus free for now. But in those places, there still are an impending sense of dread and doom could hit any day now. On a local Paloon artist tells the AFP that you can feel the rising tensions of anxiety just while you're shopping. Meanwhile, Australian researchers in Antarctica. How is this just in Antarctica? Anyways, in Antarctica are remaining in isolation until November to prevent an outbreak there. And North Korea claims it is very unlikely that the AFP reports that states the media appears to have photoshopped surgical masks onto ordinary citizens as a portion of propaganda. Now, I'll tell you, some of these vetted news stories, I keep on looking at them, trying to figure out what's going on. Because some people are starting to say that some of this stuff is not real and that it's kind of blown out of proportion. Now, I don't know. I can only tell you what I'm getting from the vetted news stories. Yes, thanks for the comment. Yes, I have touched my face from time to time while I'm in here. Yes, I guess that is the opportunity of you getting to watch me touch myself as I do the show, if you're watching the video format. Yeah, you heard me correctly there.
Duh.
Anyways, let's continue down the path. The North Korean defector says that his home country is enjoying a bumper crop season because they've been started using human bodies as fertilizer. Holy monkeys. Kim Tu-soon tells the Mirror that some guards said that they should bury the bodies evenly throughout the land so it could actually fertilize the entire area properly. Human fertilizer. Think about it. And I'm sitting here and going, okay, we're talking about a little bit about everything here because we're going all over the place because that's what's in the news. All over the place is in the news. And I wish I could tell you that that's not the case, but that is the case of what's going on. The news stories are interesting on where you go here, where you go there, where it changes, what's going on. But the news that I'm vetting are vetted stories from other sources, and then I kind of make sure that we're kind of going back and forth. But listen to that. North Korea. Oh, the heathen are praying. This is the next news story I found. A Pew study says that 39% of people who identify as either seldom or never praying and not having a religious affiliation are now praying. So I guess that could be a good thing, depending on how you want to look at it. Now, of course, I've seen some jackasses online make reference that, of course, this was going to be the Easter where everybody was going to go to church. And they're only saying that because a good chunk of the churches are closed, and you can't actually get in there together, as you could imagine at the time, too. So I think that's pretty interesting on, this is what we've decided to start talking about.
Duh.
So let's continue. Cell phone videos has recorded a mysterious triangle shape with 7 lights flying over it. Or let me rephrase that. With the 7 lights flying over Texas for the 3rd time this year. The first was spotted around New Year's Day, and another in February, and now it's back. While the tinfoil hatters are sure that it's a UFO, analysts are pretty sure it's an experimental TR-3B aircraft that is being used by the military. Now, I don't know why I'm going to waste my time in talking about this for the next moment, but you want to know how many theories there are online about that right now? About UFOs, end of the world, between the earthquakes, the coronavirus, and all this. And I do not want to feed the machine, because that's easy to do. But man, are there some basket cases out there. And I'll tell you, the more I look into this, the more information you find, and the deeper down that rabbit hole you can go, depending on what you're looking at, especially when you start trying to do end of the world information. So I just don't know how that ends up working. It's pretty interesting.
Listen to our host of the Rated R Safety Show. Self-implode on our airwaves, only on Safety FM.
So, your pet is probably more stressed than usual. CBS Boston is reporting that oh my God. Doctors for animals, I can't speak today, are seeing a spike in calls about odd pet behavior, particularly getting into things that they shouldn't. Dr. Heidi, surfing counters are getting into the trash, their destructive behaviors, they are pent-up energy, and they're not being able to settle down are all signs of them being more stressed. Experts say that due to the shakeup of schedules that have the household staying in at all times, Dr. Heidi says that using complicated puzzle toys might help them calm down. Well, I'm going to tell you right now that if I actually ordered a puzzle toy for my dog to get to my home for us to be able to play with it, and I was using Amazon, being as it's not an essential piece of equipment, I'm pretty freaking sure I'm not going to get that at any kind of time soon. Have you tried to order anything outside on Amazon? Not picking on Amazon, by the way. But have you tried to order anything there that's non-essential that you're going to get in a very quick period of time? Because a lot of those dates are being pushed out way far back. And I don't blame them. I'd rather have a roll of toilet paper than a puzzle for my dog. But that's me, and I know there's some dog lovers out there. I won't even talk about some of the videos that I've seen of people actually sending them here with their dogs licking their feet for a very long, extended period of time.
Duh.
Don't ask. Don't ask. Believe me. I get some really weird stuff inside of our little email from time to time. No winner for Saturday night's Powerball drawing. Tonight's drawing will be for $170 million jackpot or better saying $136.6 million cash payout. So that's an option there for you. Are you seeing some of these other things that are taking place throughout? Let's talk about this real quick. Chris Cuomo has tested positive for the coronavirus. The CNN host and brother of New York Governor Andrew Cuomo shared his diagnosis on Twitter, writing, I have been exposed to people in recent days who have subsequently tested positive, and I had a fever, chills, and shortness of breath. Chris says that he is quarantining in his basement and will continue airing his CNN show, Cuomo Primetime, from there. So, it's going all over the place, just as you have noticed. Let's continue. Demi Lovato is aiding the fight against the coronavirus. The top pop star announced on Tuesday that $5 of every item sold from her new collection, up to $125,000, will go towards the World Health Organization, or WHO, COVID-19 Solidarity Response Fund. In the announcement, Lovato said, I've really been going back and forth on this and on when would be the right time to launch the collab with athletic wear, but decided that this time to provide inspiration for my fans at home and help those in need. The new collection launches tomorrow, April the 2nd. Now, I'm going to tell you, it's really good that people are actually helping out because, any dollar, any penny counts. But I'm wondering what we're going to see tomorrow. I'm not talking about tomorrow, like what's going to happen tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow.
Duh.
I'm talking about what are we going to see tomorrow? People's bills are due today. People's rent checks are due today. People's mortgage payments are mostly due today. Are they going to be able to afford anything? Most people, based on market research, it says could not afford a $400 emergency. If you've been laid off, if you have no income coming in, what are you going to do starting tomorrow? Now, you can normally get away with some of this stuff for about 2 to 3 days before anybody starts pushing anything. But what's going to happen? And don't get me wrong, I appreciate seeing all these people that are donating and giving money and doing these large discounts. But large discounts, if I have nothing coming in, does absolutely nothing for me. And I'm not picking on Demi Lovato here. It can come across that way, and I know it's relatively easy. But what can we do? If you have nothing coming in, I can't go out and buy something. I was talking to a friend of mine, and they were telling me that they were planning on maxing out every one of their credit cards to cash. I don't think that's a great idea either, but that was their decision on what they were going to do next. I also had another friend tell me that he was on the midst of actually refinancing his house. I don't know. I don't know what is the correct thing to do at this time. I know there's a lot of panic and there's a lot of fear and there's a lot of questions that cannot be answered. I also look at it as safety professionals that are out there, the people that you and I speak with. A lot of you are being laid off from what I'm being contacted for. Furloughed. Let's just use that wording. And your position is one of the first positions to go. Not at all companies, but at some companies. And you're sitting there and you're going, I don't know what to do. You're saying, Jay, I'm calling you. What do you recommend? I'll tell you, I was looking on the interwebs yesterday. I could find about 83 safety positions in my first swoop. They're not all in the same area. They're not all in the same thing. And guess what? Prices on what pay structures are lower than what they used to be because of everything going on. People's speaking engagements are being canceled. Conferences are being canceled. And I'll tell you, the conference thing I find pretty amazing that they're canceling. And there's still a pretty big safety organization, and we're sure going to talk about this more unless something's done relatively quick, that has opted not to cancel their national conference as we speak of this moment. Now, I find it interesting that they are known as safety people or safety professional people, and they have opted not to do anything yet. Don't get me wrong. I know these conferences cost all kinds of money. But we're going to leave that for a further episode because I want to give you some time before I come after you. Oh, yeah, and I'm going to come after you.
Duh.
Because that's what I do. Anyways, Rihanna and Jay-Z are making generous donations to combat coronavirus pandemic. The Musical Artists Foundation has donated $2 million to relief efforts to help most vulnerable in Los Angeles and New York City. The donation from Jay's Sean Carter Foundation and Riri's Clara Lionel Foundation will support the homeless and the elderly, children, and healthcare workers, the incarcerated and undocumented worker. The Clara Lionel Foundation has also donated $5 million to help combat the pandemic in the U.S., Africa, and the Caribbean. So that's another one there. Let me give you some more information real quick. Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively made personal donations of $100,000 to 4 New York hospitals that are getting hit hard with the coronavirus pandemic. This is their second major donation. Earlier this month, I would assume last month, they did a donation of $1 million to Feeding America and food banks in Canada. The famous couple are also encouraging people across America to help their local hospitals, healthcare workers, and communities during these difficult times. So, goes back to what I was talking about. If you don't have money, it's going to be kind of hard for you to be able to donate. But if you have time, and I know you still need money, but if you have time, maybe you can help with some of your time and assist there. Don't know if that will work out for you. Anyways, have you been seeing this crazy thing that's been going on online? Let's just really talk particular about Netflix. Have you seen this Tiger King, Joe Exotic thing? Oh my God, it's everywhere, my friends. I was talking to some safety professionals yesterday, and we were going back and forth kind of laughing because one of the people shares the last name of Joe Exotic. And we were trying to figure out if they were related. I think they took a little bit of offense to it.
Duh.
But whatever, it is what it is. I thought it was kind of funny. But at one point, it almost sounded like he wasn't sure if they might be related, but I'll leave it to him to come out and talk about that if he wants to or not. Anyways, Cardi B plans of starting a GoFundMe for, you guessed it, Tiger King, and that star, Joe Exotic, has been halted. According to the rep, the company money cannot be raised on its platform to fund the defense of inmates convicted of violent crimes. As Joe is in prison, charged with a murder for hire plot, as well as animal-related crimes, he is not able to receive support from GFM account. GoFundMe, just in case. Cardi responded to the news saying that she is not actually serious about starting the account, but does think that Exotic needs new representation. The world we're going into. Anyways, don't know why I went down that path today. I guess I really did it because I don't have days of the year to talk about to celebrate, because I just think that the timing is wrong in regards to that. Anyway, so what do you got going on the rest of the week? I know today's Wednesday. Well, I want to share with you some of the stuff that we got going on here at good old the FMer. So this afternoon, if you do get a chance, we are going to be doing something special. And what do I mean by that when I say something special? This afternoon, 3 o'clock on the radio station, we are going to be airing a campfire talk featuring Mark Yeston, Bob Edwards, Todd Conklin, and myself. Here, I'd love for you to take a listen to this little clip of what we have recorded.
Welcome to a special presentation of a campfire talk.
This changes the world. The Spanish flu of 1918 changed the world. I mean, right. And that's the same thing that's happening now, which is scary. I mean, I don't know, Jay, what you're doing, but in most of the people I talk to, I just ask them, are you scared? And I'm pretty impressed that in our little community, people are pretty free and tell you, yeah, that there's a lot of anxiety.
And I think a lot of the recovery is going to have to do with how this plays out. I mean, we've been living in a climate that's very divisive for a number of reasons. And whether we choose to think that, this will not affect me, like people like us in smaller communities don't feel as threatened, certainly as people like in New York. And you've seen some of the attempts to, isolate people from states, which may be a wise thing to do for a public health perspective.
So that's what we have going on this afternoon on the actual Safety FM network. This will be on the radio station only. After that, it will actually drop into a podcast format. So you'll get to the option of actually taking a listen to this campfire talk. Definitely a different approach of anything else that we've actually done here at the station. Besides that, not much more going on here at good old Safety FM, or not Safety FM, really not much more going on right now on the Rated R Safety Show. Anyways, let me kind of tell you about one of my favorite companies here in Orlando. And they're a transportation company. I wanted to share this information of what they are doing to help out with the coronavirus currently in the area.
What are you doing about social distancing? What if you still need to be transported from one place to another? We at Royal Transportation Group know that we're all in this together as we continue to monitor the COVID-19 situation, and we will follow guidance from the public health officials and government agencies so we can continue to support our customers in our community as needed. If you need to travel but you don't want to fly, let us drive you. With the current crisis at hand, flying may not be an option. Let us help you with your distance travel in one of our safe, disinfected chauffeured vehicles. No matter how far you need to go, we can help. Here are a few examples of how we have helped customers over the past few days. Seasonal vacationers traveling back home for the summer. College students with school closures heading home. Transportation out of high exposure areas. Necessary business travel, getting your parents back home. We at Royal Transportation Group can be with you every step of the way. For more information, call 407-855-2555. That's 407-855-2555. Or go to Royal Transportation Group's website at GoOrlandoLimos.com. That's GoOrlandosLimos.com. And make sure to tell them that Jay Allen sent you.
And I want to tell you, there's still some people here in Orlando that need to be transported out, so that might be somewhere that you can actually go, and they will be able to assist you with that particular matter. So I'm just saying, in general, I normally don't try to do a lot of regionalized stuff on the shows, but I think that it's important to be able to share that, especially if you have a loved one that's still here in the Orlando area. Anyways, not much more going on here today on the Rated R Safety Show. I appreciate everything that you guys do. Thank you for being the best part of Safety FM, and that is the listener. I know who you are. You know who I am. Love you. Mean it. Bye.
Duh.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.